As we've talked about before, we have the opportunity to shoot a documentary series, a true crime documentary series. And so at times we're getting interviews, and those are fantastic. We do the breakdowns, but there are other times where we're getting cinema verite style footage where we are on the scene with the detective and we're going over some of the details of what happened and how it broke down. Now, when we got into this, yes, because we're a small crew, yes, we could boom mic overhead as it should be done. If you have a decent enough size crew, you can get your boom mic and you can get your boom pole and you could just feed it right into the camera or a recorder and get clean, crisp audio, and it'd be right out of frame. The problem is that we're a small crew. It's just Josh and I. And Josh was getting the wide angles and I was getting the mediums and sometimes tights or backup wides. But as you can see, the problem is that we're both on camera, so nobody's really running sound. So what we ended up doing is we ended up using the Rode Pros, and as you can see here, we had a lavalier mic with the wind muff on. Look in the background, if you look at some of the trees there, the wind was going, so we needed something to, buffer that sound. It ended up falling off right here, so I'm putting it back on the clip. But what the ideal was, and what I was hoping for, is that we could place the Rode Pro itself on him and not the lavalier, so that this way we wouldn't have a lavalier sticking out of the middle of his chest, especially when it's windy and you have that dead cat on there. It's all big. But we ended up putting a lavalier on, so this is what it sounded like in the car.
There was some search warrants completed, and we did not locate any items of evidence or any items that she or any of the family that lived
So as
there.
you can hear, the sound is great, but I just hate the fact that we have to have something there in the middle. Now, it is a solution and it works and it sounds great, but the fact that it's there in the shot, I would rather that it not be in the shot. And that's why I'm looking and wanting to have the actual Rode on his person, because now when we come outside, we have this big old puff. What I have found is, and you've seen on my other vlogs where I'm talking about different things, and I also reviewed it for the phone. There's this little microphone that Godox makes for the phone. They now make it for the cameras that you could plug it right into the cameras, and I think it would have worked perfect for this situation. Let me demo it. I'm just kind of driving and kind of talking as if I was in the interview and just using my regular talking voice, just talking about the police investigation, blah, 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 blah. So as you can see, I'm just kind of playing as if I was the cop in the car as we were getting this interview. Just talking as I'm driving, kind of looking out to the left, not looking towards the camera, and it's working very well. So as you can tell, as I'm at a stop, this thing picks up excellent sound quality. And the level is kind of set to high right now. Not too high where it's peaking, but it's set high enough. And the sound is good. It's very clean. No, it's not the kind of sound quality that you would hear from a boom microphone. And so just the fact that they've been able to get this kind of sound quality in such a small, tiny package it's just blowing me away. But as we see with the new cameras and the new technology that's coming out, as technology leaps forward, things are getting smaller, yet more powerful and better. So the same thing happened with microphones, and I'm just really glad that Godox has done this. As you already know, I'm a big fan of Godox. And all right, so I'm going to set this thing up, put this in a decent place where it can be hidden. And obviously, you've already seen what the footage looks like, but I'm going to show you actually me putting it on me right now. Now, just like the interview footage that you saw of us interviewing the cop, we had the lav mic on him, and then we hid in the visor the other Rode pack. So I don't like the fact that we had to use a lav mic. I would rather have it hidden. Now, the ideal situation is to use like a boom mic of some sort, but when it's running gun like that, sometimes you just got to think on your feet and go as fast as you can, at the very same time doing a very good job. So this is why I love these mics, and as you'll be hearing throughout this video, this little guy right here is much, much smaller than a Rode mic. And the cool part about it is that because it's not a lav, it's not picking up sound, or the mic is, in other words, I could touch here, I could touch here on the side, I could touch here. The mic is on top. So as you can see, when I'm touching the top, it's making that noise. Sorry. But anything else rustling against the side, it's not touching it. A lav mic you can't do that with. You can do that with the Rode mic itself on the Rode unit, but it's so much bigger than this. So let me hide this away. So the way I usually do it is I will run this on the inside of my shirt and then magnetize it to the out. I'm sorry if it's getting louder. But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to hide this portion in my pocket. And then I'm going to magnetize on the inside of the shirt. That's all set up. That's how I set it up. As you notice, it's nothing that's popping out too much. So yeah, I mean, sounds good. It's great. It's able to be hidden. I'm going to try hiding this now in another spot. It's a little bit, the exposure is a little bit darker, but that's fine. I'm trying to get the point across. And if you didn't notice, I had a little tube light up there. I'll show you the part where it kind of fell on my face. All right, I'm done with that. That being said, I'm actually driving now with the microphone in a different spot. Let's see if you can tell where it is, if I'm giving it away. And if you can't find it, it's not in this pocket anymore. It's actually right here. So it's actually under my undershirt, magnetized on top of it. And so it's completely hidden by the overshirt, but it's close enough to where it's still able to pick up my voice, and it's still crispy and clean. Okay, and this is the last position I'm gonna do here in the car. It is actually on the outside of my clothing. It's just outside of frame, so you can't see it. So I haven't heard it yet. I'm just thinking on this side of post, what it sounds like, but I would imagine it's just a little bit cleaner, a little bit more crisp, because it's not muffled by any shirts or any clothing. If it sounds just the same, then I will be surprised, but that'll be great. Anyway, it's actually right here. Why don't you go ahead and pan down and show them the microphone? Right there. But again, this is not bad. I've already used this in a project that I do. I film jiu-jitsu, and so I'll show a little bit of behind the scenes footage of that.
I'm on the spot. For the record, they're not asking for that. But the reason why I want people to know who they are is because what they all have in common is good character and consistency.
All right, so real quick, I just wanted to get one more test out here outside my busy street backyard. So you can see that's a stoplight. Pretty busy street here. So there's actually cars passing by right now. Hopefully you can hear it. I'm going to test the in-microphone sound dampening or noise control that's in here. You just press one of the buttons on the side. Now I'm wearing the furry because it's also a little bit windy from time to time. I actually made a recording just recently. I forgot. I just didn't want to use the little furry, but it was ridiculous. I needed the furry, so I got that on. Anyway, all that being said, there is this little thing that I wanted to show you where the sound actually cut out when I was filming one of the jiu-jitsu guys, and they did a move. Usually with my Rhodes, it's fine. You can do a move. They cover it, and it doesn't disconnect. But it actually disconnected this day. I was using both mics to the one receiver, and it disconnected, and I'll show you. Check this out.
Isolate the near arm as much as possible, or connect around their head. And your partner's bottom.
So that's why I want to kind of recreate that. So first, let's try to recreate that before I do the sound dampening. As you can hear, that's loud. So here we go. All right, I'm looking at the camera. I still have levels. I still have levels. So I know that it's not disconnecting. Let's try it again as he put his whole forearm over it. Nope. I can still see levels. I can still see levels. It's muffled, but it doesn't disconnect. Where that completely disconnected, I lost sound completely. So I think that the connection was completely severed. All that being said, let's test what this sounds like. Here comes a car now. Let me see if it's on. Cars are passing by right now. As you can tell, it's not as loud. I've actually heard this before as I tested it. Like I said, I took another take and it made my voice sound kind of dampened. So that's why I wanted to do it again with the wind muff, because then I'd give it more of a fair chance. So Hopefully it sounds a little bit better, but it did sound very processed before it got into the camera. So this is with the sound dampening on. As you can see, the leaves, the wind is blowing a good little bit out here. So hopefully this furry is, now the furry works on the ones with the phones, but anyway, all that being said, now here's another caveat. I was putting it on the inside, which I do all the time, but as these guys are rolling, if their shirt's not tight enough on the inside, if it's not tight enough, it has a tendency to flip and sound like this, muffled when it's up against their skin.
And a submission, I think those are most important. The other two will come naturally. You'll just, through repetition, you'll see their arm kind of hanging out there. But remember that their elbow is going to rotate one way.
Right, and if that wasn't noticeable, muffled when it's up against the skin. Also, let's see if you can hear this, because this is really loud. See that? That truck right there just stopped. I wonder if you could hear that since I got the sound cancellation on. And it's still on. I'm actually going to take it off now. There we go. Should be off now. He's also burning his brakes because that smell is strong. Wow. All that being said, I wasn't able to create it, didn't disconnect, but I will say this, that was a paid gig, the jiu-jitsu job. And so the fact that it disconnected while I was working was a problem. So I definitely had to put it in the review because it's only right. So all that being said, Godox did send this out to me so I can give it a try and review it on the channel. They had already sent me the one for the phone, and so I let them know, hey, do you got the one for the camera? Because I could really use that, because we just had come off of the shoot for this documentary, and that's what started the whole idea for this thing. And I do think that it would be a great addition, so long as I never encounter that problem again. Just as I said, not able to recreate it, even with two hands. Not able to recreate it, not even with two hands. So I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because I was using both mics, but I will keep you updated on that. If you like it, only $120. The link is in the description to go get it on Amazon. I think it's very incredible that this technology used to be $300 when the first Rode wireless microphones came out. And now you can get it for $120 straight to your camera. That's pretty awesome. I looked everywhere in the manual and I didn't see that this thing had a record function on it. So I hope this helps in some way. This is a very cheap piece of tech. And if you're a one-man band trying to do documentaries and you need to go out filming cinema verite, then I think this is a great option, and it's very affordable. So I hope that helps, and I will talk to you guys on the next one.